The advocacy of women's rights on the ground of equality of the sexes is known as feminism. It is defined as the belief in social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. The goal of feminism is to challenge the systemic inequalities of women face on a daily basis. Mary Wollstonecraft is seen by many as founder of feminism due to her 1792 book titled A Vindication of the Rights of Women, in which she argues for women's rights in education. Rosanich, a scholar, a friend, and a true female advocate who has long been standing and seeking for a more balanced rights for women in both the academic field and professionals. And she is, in my personal opinions, a true representation of feminism. So let's talk to Rose. Owen.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for your time today speaking to us. Like you know that today we're going to speak about feminisms, and I have observed with so many friends and scholars in this country thus far, and like I said earlier, that in my personal opinion, you are the true icon of feminism.
Thank you very much.
So can you please tell us about your background, your educational background, in which at one point it makes you feel like you are doomed to stand for and represent this principle, feminism?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having me. So I'm Rose, and I graduated from University of Leeds Business School in the UK through a Chevening Scholarship Program, and I did a Master of Science International Marketing Management. And back to the question of at which point do I start thinking or representing myself on that concept or principle, I think it's fair to say that we were raised in a society that women are treated differently. And from the start, especially when we were younger, when we were kids, we were growing up understanding that women have different expectations. We got so many different perceptions perceived on us, and also we have been taught and instilled that we have this specific responsibilities that we have to achieve as a girl or as a woman, and while men have different types of perceptions and expectations towards themselves. So at some point I felt like growing up and going to school, I feel like everything or every time I got engaged into a conversation, it feels like women are expected to be, like, for example, a wife of someone, are expected to marry young, are expected to not having higher education, are expected to be able to do all these chores and jobs that are called a housewife, or maybe anything that a girl is supposed to do. And sometimes it went beyond those concepts. It actually went into practical situations. Like sometimes we were perceived as someone who is weak and not able to do certain things, and that is already stereotyped into our ways of lives. And sometimes when we are not able to do something, it's because the perception of you're just a girl, or maybe you're not a guy, so that's why you cannot achieve something. So all of these things, and plus all the other treatments and words and thoughts that has been placed on women itself, make me feel like growing up as a girl is a hard job on its own. It's like nature creates us, and then we just have to go through this hardship. And that's the point where I started thinking, okay, this is the principle that I'm holding on to. Feminism is not just a word in a dictionary. It's not just something in the news. It's something that you can take up and look up to and hold on to and instilled continuously in other people to empower ourselves to actually change certain perceptions in the society that we're actually not different from you, and we can do what you can, and we're not supposed to be treated and thought or perceived differently in a negative way.
So for those reasons and experiences, and for the fact that you really want to advocate this so-called feminism concepts to the people, what does feminism simply mean to you?
Okay, that's a very good question, because I'm pretty sure that everybody have heard of it and understood the definition on some grounds. Personally, feminism is a simple concept. Another version of equality. But to me personally, feminism is the fact that we all accept and understand that just because nature creates different genders in the world, it doesn't mean that all of different genders have different things that are supposed to be treated unfairly. Meaning that just because we have male, females, or gay, lesbian community, doesn't mean that this dictates that someone is better than the other. That's what feminism is to me.
So in all of these years, as I learned myself the concept of feminisms, you have put this so beautifully, in which that just because we were born differently, natures have created two different sexes, we are no difference.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm just curious because you briefly talked about it in your experience growing up, but have you always been aware of this feminism concept or felt intrinsically irritated that women has not been treated equally or fairly in our society?
Yes, that's a big yes, because of course when I was very young, I might not be able to comprehend what is feminism. Are we being treated unfairly, or because we're just that bad, or because we're just that weak? But of course later on in the years, I felt the constant and the repetitive treatment that I don't feel comfortable with myself. It's like, why do you need to think this way? Why do you need to say all of these? Why are we thought or perceived in that specific ways? Do we not have a choice? Do we not have extra freedom to actually express ourselves like the way men do? So when I thought about that constantly, I started to be aware of this principle and concept. And I didn't start right from feminism, of course. I started right from trying to rebel in a lot of ways possible, because that time, gods know who is or what is feminism. So I started from like, okay, this is not the right thing. I should debate with this. I should find the rights for myself. I should be able to express something, and I keep questioning why I could not before. And then later on in the years, as I keep on doing that, I realized this is something that I have been holding on to for a long time, and it's time to it's the right time to actually put myself in the right ground, which is feminism, which is what I later on learned that this is, well, the term that you're supposed to that you've been expressing the whole time. Yeah.
Are you still actively rebellious right now?
I would say yes.
I'm sure that in different countries, in different continents, we all have different values and culture. Like in the West, we have certain types of definitions for feminisms, and in Asia, we might have it differently. So can you please give a contextual differences between the feminisms in Europe or in the West versus feminisms in Asia, particularly in our country?
Okay, that's a very good question. So because I've been to places both for my studies and different types of traveling and work, so I actually started noticing as well how people think and react to feminism in other countries versus Cambodia specifically. I felt like, it's actually true that in other countries, like in the West, in Europe, in the UK, in America, and other parts of the world, they have progressed way ahead of us, because the fact that people have to be super equal is not new to them. Feminism is an old concept. The fact that we have not really reached the maximum level of awareness and activeness yet is because we've been way so long into the fact that women are different from men. This is like a tradition, it's a cultural thought. So it's really hard to change or to even instill the concept that feminism is actually something you should try to understand and hold on to. While in the West, in the other countries, this is like a default setting.
Right.
Everybody should be equal. Anything that happens unequally, I felt, it stems from someone's personality, educational background, different cultures versus another culture, or maybe there are issues going on that makes it feel like feminism does not work. But in Cambodia, we're starting from zero. We're way behind. But of course, right now, I wouldn't compare it to like 20 years ago. Right now, it's a lot better. I see changes, which I think that we have now understood feminism quite better. But we have a lot more to do in order to catch up with the other countries. Because whenever people start speaking in other countries, I'm not comparing this as someone is better or someone is worse. But it's more like when people start talking in different countries, the way they put it, it's more like, oh, it's by default that you're okay, like, you can do certain things. And there's no questioning between male and female at so many levels that I feel, why is it different in Cambodia? So that's the contextual difference that we're having now.
Do you find it ironic? Because I do find it ironic in which a country, Cambodia, which we say in Khmer, right?
Yeah.
Is the biggest is the mother, the woman, like the country that respect women, at least in the word of Khmer.
Yeah.
And yet we still have a long way to go to catch up with the world in terms of the respect for women.
Exactly. Let me just differentiate between how we perceive a mother or a woman and actually respecting one. So it's the mother concept, or the motherly and female concept in Cambodia. I really love it. This is the thing that we take pride in. But it's going on an emotional attachment kind of perception. So it's more like when it comes to mother, females, or women, girls in general, we attach the emotional love and emotional values to the person, that the person is bear child, try to raise and educate and help out and support, function very, very importantly in the family. But to assume that the same person or the same woman is able to do something or capable of a lot more things than just being a woman or a mother is something that we have not reached. So basically, we have motherly concept, we have motherly love, we have a wife love, we have like a female love and all of these advocacy. But it's also heavy towards you are loved, you sacrifice a lot, you're a person who's important in the family and in a function, but are you sure you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that has not been placed on you before? That is a difference between our concept of trying to love a woman and value them and put them up there at the same time.
For that reason, how does it feel to be a feminist?
I would say it feels different. For someone who is not a feminist, no judgment. Of course, maybe they have not understood, or maybe they think it's not really necessary for them to be one. But for me, personally, as a feminist, I feel like I'm being specific in my walks of life. Meaning that I don't live my life in a way that I don't care about certain gender issues. I don't care about the situation that's going on right now. This treatment kind of thing is a big deal in every country because it's so subtle and it's so big. So subtle but so serious that you just move ahead and realize that maybe it's not that important for me to really understand. It's just some people being equal, nothing else, or we just give special treatment to the girls, which is really not like that. So as a feminist itself, when I know that I'm specifically hold on to the principle, I feel especially strong. I can feel the independence that I want because that's what I don't need to ask from someone else. It's something that you create by yourself, and the way you stay strong and independent and have the right opinion about this is the way to start, way to go. So as a feminist, I feel I am able to feel that I am able to get something that I know I deserve, and that's the simplest thing that you could have, that men already have.
For being that, you have inspired me, and I'm sure there are many girls and guys out there inspired by you. And also I may observe that more and more people are becoming more feminist, so to speak,
Okay.
or aware of such concepts. So in your personal observations, how do you see this sort of movement or understandings and perceptions of the public toward feminism and respect of women have helped the countries?
You mean in the context of every general country?
Right. No, specifically in our country.
Okay. So first of all, we have already been on the groove to support feminism and such, which I'm very happy about. I've been happy for the last several years seeing all this. How I feel about the movement, let's not call it a movement, let's call it a principle. How I feel about this is that more women in very specific ranks and classes in the country have started spoken out about this and expressed themselves in the ways that previous women never would. And this is how I see it. It's very positive, it's inspiring. Of course, I don't really go into, like the pretentious and fake positivity. It's not something you want in a society. But for those who explicitly and genuinely or authentically speak about these issues, elaborate in a way that everyone should understand that this is something you should resolve. This is the way we stand. This is how it should have been in our society. I have perceived this as very, very positive progress. And how it helps with our society or the country as a whole is, of course, it creates a ripple effect. It makes other women want to say the same thing, want to think about this equally the same way, and also started practicing and doing everything they could in order to position themselves as the woman of their own choice.
I think men like us, sometimes we have too much pride, we have egos, and we might feel uncomfortable if we were to say supporting women, right?
Okay, yeah.
So on and so forth. In your personal opinion, can and should a man be a feminist?
In my personal opinion, it's not just can, it's not just should be, but you have to be. I mean, come on. I feel like a man who calls himself a feminist, or don't even call yourself, just say the things off the pot, you're already a feminist. I can see through different expressions, different wording, different ways of reacting to things, if I know you're a feminist or not. So of course it's a very good thing to be. It's not something that it's not picking different colors. It's more like which one is right. So the right way to be is, of course, I encourage guys or men to be a feminist, because being a feminist doesn't mean that you're feminine. It doesn't mean that you are supporting females and not males yourself. It doesn't even go that direction. It's more like when you are a feminist, you actually understood already that everything and everyone is equal. And if someone has to be different, doesn't mean that they're worse than the others. It's more like, of course, I understand that men and women have a lot of different things. Nature creates us in a way that we have so many differences emotionally, physically, intellectually, and all of the other factors. But in order to judge that someone can or cannot do something, or express things, or expected to do things in different ways, is something that is so unfair. So that's why when man is a feminist, it means that he already understood all those concepts, which is the basics.
So it doesn't make a man less powerful?
Of course, like a man could be even more powerful when he becomes a feminist, I would say.
There are some things to think about.
Yeah.
So what are some of the important things should men know about feminism?
Well, there would be a couple things. I think I mentioned some of that just now. So one of the things that men should know about feminism is that, first of all, feminism is not special. It's not an exclusive special treatment towards females. There's so difference between trying to treat someone specially and just trying to be equal. So that's what feminism is, being equal. There's no it's like you should know that when you understand feminism, it means that you treat women as equal as you treat yourself and other men. That is one thing that everybody, not just men, should know. And secondly, people do things not because we think that, okay, she's a female, so we should treat her this way. Or you're a man, so that's how I should treat you. There's no rules written on this. It's more like everything you do that seems like it's special for different genders, it's actually not a special treatment. It's more like this is respect and kindness that someone has for another person. So if you do something nice or great to someone else as a female or a male, it means that you do it out of respect, out of kindness, out of you valuing that person. That's why you do it. It's not more like, okay, now that I'm a feminist, so I should hold the doors for women. I should put women up on top and put men in the second priority, or treat her so specially that she feels like she's better than you. Right. That's the thing I want men and actually everyone to understand. This is not feminism. To do all of this for women, give them the equal and special, nice way of valuing them is actually out of your values, your respect, your kindness, and the way you understood that feminism is actually about equality.
Do you think we as a society in Cambodia have understood this concept, feminism, enough and have been using it, righteously enough for the better of this country? Or do you think sometimes we go too far in using this word?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Again, I feel super positive about the progress we have made. I admire those who actually advocate themselves to all these principles and actually went on and do practical things. In terms of level of understanding, I still feel that we still have a limitation. Of course, I have seen a lot of men who actually started speaking naturally with this judgment in mind. So the moment I hear all this, it's like, okay, you have not even changed traditionally or culturally at all for the past 10, 20 years, you're still onto this. So understanding level, no, not there yet, but we have done quite a lot. I feel more and more people understood this now, and it feels so great to know that. And secondly, have we used it righteously or in the right way, or has it gone beyond whatever we're trying to do? I think it's also a yes/no, because to use feminism concept, it depends on who they are. I have been in different practical situations where feminism is very well understood, very well practiced, very well accepted. But I also been in different occasions and situations where feminism is perceived as something weird.
Right.
It's gone extreme. Feminism has gone into something like girls are special, men are okay. And some people are trying so hard to change this concept that they went on and lower down the value of men itself, and actually, women is like up there. So because before it's like, this is men, this is women, and when they talk about feminism, they try to do this. So they never actually try to balance the weight. They actually wanted to make someone higher than the other, which is a super wrong and extreme kind of perception, which when you ask if we've used this in the right way, if it's gone somewhere else, yes, it has gone somewhere else. And I think everyone who actually thought like that should come back down. It's actually okay. Feminism is about equality. What we're trying to do right now is to just make women empowered, to make women be able to be treated in a very justified way, and not having a negative judgment, not having less opportunities, not perceiving as someone who cannot do certain things that everyone else can, not being expected to do 1, 2, 3 and actually not 7, 8, 9, 10. And a lot more other expectations that I think we should have changed. So yeah, to everyone who think that feminism is an extreme way to treat a woman, it is not.
Yeah, still though, I have talked to a number of people and friends, and there's still some rising concerns in which, sometimes feminism has an unfair image. And what is your take on that?
My take on this is, it has been an unfair image, both on the women's side and on the men's side. On the women's side, it's unfair because it seems like we're advocating to ourselves but not others. It seems like we have not received anything yet. Mm-hmm. On the male side, on the men's side, the unfair image is that you're giving way too much to the woman that you forgot about yourself. Right. Or maybe you're supposed to treat women more specially than you treat men, which is both sides an unfair image. Let me give you a special example. So in order to support feminism, you want to try to treat everybody equally. But there's so many ways to do that, right? Either you give everyone a fair share of values, either you try not to give the negative judgment expectations toward the women, and so on and so forth. But one of the practice is that when getting into a professional field or educational sector, and there are sometimes we use the methodology of giving a special place or treatment to the females who applied. Mm-hmm. I'm not against this. I think it's a very good idea. I think that it helped create and open doors for more women to actually go for or shoot for something that they have not shot before. It's a way to encourage. It's basically a methodology, it's nothing else. But for me, I also feel like when you do this, although it caters to your results and everything that you demand, it gives you very positive results. You have more women now, Mm-hmm. But the feeling, a perception I receive from this is like, so you're saying that females are not able to jump this far, that you have to give the special opportunities in that gap for us women to actually get there, which is, I know it's not the intention, but it has to be very well communicated. That is just one example of the methodology of practicing feminism. If you give someone a special place or a special treatment, it means that you think that they're not there yet. Mm-hmm. That's why it has to be special for them to get there. So this perception can be perceived wrongly by a lot of people. So I'm saying you can practice this kind of concept still, but it doesn't, if you're not well communicating that this is not the direction that we're going for, it's more like because this is the major, or this is the field that we lack a lot of females, workers, professionals, or students. That's why we give all this opportunity and encourage more women to join in. That sounds better than, oh, you know what, females got special treatment. This is a wrong way of putting that in the language. Yeah,
I think that is a beautiful way to put it. At the end of the day, I think young people like us, maybe even senior people who are more open, trying to do is to have a more balanced, more equal society that treats everyone equally and respectfully. So with that, do you think there will be any other approach that we can use to cultivate a society that respects all people of all genders equally and respectfully?
That's a very insightful question. I think there are so many ways to do this, and not every approach is better than the other. There's so many approaches we could take, but personally I think that this kind of thing comes from within. You cannot force or educate a person to become a feminist overnight. You cannot keep telling someone that females are okay and as equal as males. You cannot keep telling them that. The thing that I think would be the right approach would be the mental approach. It has to come from yourself. It has to come from within. You have to start thinking like this, or know the reason why you should think like this. First of all, lose the stereotype already. Like, lose it. I mean, there's no automatic judgment that females is this, female is that, man is this, man is that. On an educational, professional, and personal level, you should know that we're born differently, but we are capable of anything. It's like the word, it's like the phrase that people say, you can do anything, I can do anything. This I or you doesn't have a gender in it. And that's where you should start knowing that when you say you can do anything, you don't think about guys, you think about both genders, or gay lesbian community, everyone in any gender can be in that I or you. So when you think like that, you lose the stereotype. It means you don't need to think that this is specially for girls, this is specially for guys. There's I mean, of course, as much as different as we are, we might be taking up different directions in life. I might be better at reading, you might be better at listening, someone might be better at writing, someone might be better at drawing. I mean, all those things are like solid and interpersonal skills and all of other things that we grow up with. It's called a talent, but it doesn't define that because you're a female, you're not able to achieve a certain thing that a male can or anyone else can. So first of all, mentally change your mindset, start thinking like this, and lose the stereotype. And I think another way to approach this is also, like I mentioned partially earlier, you need to understand that as a human being and as a person who lives with everyone else in a society, in an environment, you are not alone. So whatever you do is interconnected with every other gender, and that's how you have to correspond with them on everything. And that's why it's very important for you to know that feminism or gender equality is something that has been going wrong for the past so many years. So the approach to this is that understand that because we live together and we correlate with each other on so many different situations and levels, you should know that we are bound to respect and appreciate and be kind to each other. Because when you start doing that, you will no longer feel that what you're doing is a special treatment. What you're doing is just to actually give someone a higher level of something that someone else has not received. It's not like that. When you start being kind, when you start thinking that you respect someone or you give value to someone, there's no gender in between. There's nothing that is a question. So that's why when you approach this concept of feminism in that way, I think it would help a lot to everyone, especially men, to think that this is a basic of life, that's how we treat each other. It's not about I'm a guy, you're a girl. It's more of this is the way people treat each other. That's out of respect, kindness, appreciations, values.
And I respect that a lot.
Thank you very much.
It must have been somebody who is so wise, have influence on you. That's the things, like, that's the feeling I have right now as I'm sitting here talking to you, because I mean we've been friends, but the fact that we are having these conversations, it just make me sit down here and I'm just like, oh my god, like my friend is really wise. But is there anyone like behind you, like who inspire you and influence you the way that you think?
I have so many background stories on that. But okay, talking about living soul, I really respect and value my mom. I grow up in a family where a woman is strong. It's not like you're not expected to be just that level. You're expected to go far. So that's why when it comes to inspiration and more like look up to, I really value and appreciate my mom, because she's always been the person who actually went so far, sometimes unbelievably far. And I'm pretty sure you know that from your mom as well. It's the same thing. We feel proud that we could actually see someone like that in our lives, someone so close and important to us, and actually did all of that. Why can't you, right? And you couldn't even go further. That's where I'm coming from. And I actually meant to go further, because from year to year, from decades to decades, things are changing. Being a woman is even tougher than before. So whatever my mom did, I need to be extra. So I need to go extra miles. I need to be this person that is able to actually go on inspiring everyone else and not just my own family or my own friends, or basically that's what I aim for. And of course, I grew up also seeing a lot of stories, watching a lot of movies, reading a lot of, past history and everything. And I saw men as the successful people all the time. And that is why I always pinpoint a specific when I read history, because I actually love history to a certain level. And when I saw like there's one time our empire was led by a woman or a queen instead of a king, or an acting king, but she's a female warrior or whatever. Whenever I see those stories, I felt fascinated all of a sudden. When I was young, I don't know how to call this feeling, but it's empowerment. It's later on I realized I'm fascinated about this because I'm really, really into the principle of feminism and all that. And I know that 90% of the whole situation is dedicated for men. So when we have like one-time female leader in history, this is something we should take pride in. And I think that it's very fascinating for me. And that's why I think it's an inspiration. It's something I aspire to be. It's like, you can. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can. It's a simple concept. You just know that you can, and that's all that you should know.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for raising the example of your own mother, who inspires you to be who you are and to especially advocate for feminisms and equal rights and opportunities for women. I feel extremely and genuinely related, especially to what my own mother too. I grew up like raising by my mothers, my aunts, my grandmothers, living with my sister. So the entire time that I grew up, probably without a father, since I was 12, just made me realize how powerful women can be. Especially where my mom tried to do everything for me, like unconditionally, to make me succeed without being free that she is a woman and she just want me to be successful. So a woman can feel so comfortable and also try to do everything for a man to succeed. Why can't men do that?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Rosanich, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Nice.